The most creative version of you exists behind a door you locked when you were 7 years old, maybe younger. You sealed it shut with good reason. Someone laughed at the wrong moment, criticized the wrong drawing, told you to stop being so sensitive. And everything you've tried to manifest since then has been filtered through that locked door, arriving diluted, half-formed, or not at all. By the end of this, you'll understand why healing that younger version of yourself is the single most direct path to unlocking what you've been trying to create. Manifestation teachers talk endlessly about assumption, about living in the end, about feeling the wish fulfilled. And they're right. Neville Goddard built an entire body of work around the principle that your imagination, properly impressed upon the subconscious, reshapes your outer world. But there's a piece most practitioners skip over too quickly: the subconscious mind they're trying to impress. It was largely programmed before they turned 8. Every limiting belief sitting in that deeper mind has a child's fingerprints on it. Think about how a child processes rejection. An adult hears your idea needs work and can separate the feedback from their identity. A 5-year-old hears, "You're wrong," and encodes it as, "I am wrong." The child lacks the cognitive architecture to distinguish between doing something poorly and being something deficient. So the belief doesn't land as information, it lands as identity. And identity-level beliefs are exactly what the subconscious treats as operating instructions. This is where manifestation gets stuck for so many people. You do the visualizations, you script, you affirm you feel genuine emotion during your sessions. Then you open your eyes, and a quiet voice underneath all that work whispers something like, "Who do you think you are?" That whisper has a return address, and it traces back to a specific moment, or a series of moments, in childhood where your creative self-expression met a wall. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the word is your wand, that your spoken and felt declarations rearrange the substance of your life. She was right. But a wand in the hands of someone who unconsciously believes they deserve nothing will cast spells that cancel themselves out. The conscious mind says, "I am abundant." The wounded child underneath says, "Please don't notice me, it's safer to be small." The subconscious, which runs roughly 95% of your daily experience, sides with whoever has deeper emotional roots. The child wins every time. So what does actual inner child healing look like in the context of manifestation? It starts with recognition. You sit with yourself. Genuinely sit, in stillness, and you ask a question most adults avoid their entire lives. Where did I first learn that creating was dangerous? Where did I first learn that wanting things led to disappointment? The answer rarely comes as a thought. It comes as a sensation, a tightness in the chest, a lump in the throat, a sudden urge to get up and check your phone. Do anything other than stay present with what's surfacing. That urge to flee is the most important signal you'll ever receive in your manifestation practice. It marks the exact location of the wound that's been distorting your creative power. Neville spoke about the state akin to sleep, that drowsy threshold where the conscious mind releases its grip and the subconscious becomes receptive. In that state, you can do something that no affirmation or vision board will accomplish on its own. You can revisit. You can go back through imagination, which Neville insisted is the actual creative force of the universe. And you can sit with that child. You don't lecture them. You don't explain manifestation principles to a wounded 6-year-old. You hold them. You let them feel what they weren't allowed to feel at the time. The grief, the confusion, the rage that was too big for their small body and got shoved into a basement, where it's been running your nervous responses ever since. Joseph Murphy described the subconscious as a garden. Whatever seeds you plant, it grows without judgment. True, but what he didn't emphasize enough is that someone already planted a garden in there before you were old enough to choose your own seeds. Inner child work is the process of walking through that inherited garden, identifying which plants are yours and which were forced into the soil by someone else's fear, and pulling the ones that don't belong. Only then does the ground become truly fertile for what you want to grow. Here's where practitioners often stumble. They approach inner child healing as a one-time event, a meditation, a good cry, a journal entry. Then they check the box and go back to scripting their dream life. But the child doesn't heal on a schedule. The child heals through consistent, repeated presence. The same way a real child learns to trust. You wouldn't meet an abandoned kid once, say "I love you," and expect them to feel safe forever. The wound was created through repetition. The healing requires the same. This is the discipline nobody talks about. Neville's mental diet, the practice of monitoring every internal thought and refusing to entertain those that contradict your desired state, is one of the most demanding spiritual practices in existence. Applying it to inner child healing means catching yourself mid-spiral, recognizing the spiral as a child's panic response, and choosing to parent that response rather than be consumed by it. Every single time. At 3 in the morning when the doubt is loudest, during the meeting where someone's tone of voice triggers a reaction, 3 decades old, in the quiet moments when you almost feel happy and something inside braces for the punishment that used to follow joy. That bracing, feel into it for a moment. You know the sensation. Something good happens and your body tenses instead of softening. A relationship deepens and you start scanning for the exit. Money arrives and a part of you immediately begins calculating how it will disappear. That's the inner child, still operating from the original program. Good things get taken away, so don't attach. The creative power you're trying to access lives on the other side of that brace. On the other side of letting yourself fully receive without flinching. Rumi wrote that the wound is the place where the light enters you. Within the manifestation framework, this takes on a precise meaning. The wound, the childhood moment where your creative identity fractured, is also the exact point where your creative power concentrated itself. It didn't disappear. Energy doesn't vanish. It compressed, it went underground. And it's been waiting, with the patience that only a child's hope possesses, for you to come back and say, I see you. I believe you. What you wanted to create matters. When you begin this work in earnest, something shifts in your manifestation practice that no technique alone can produce. Your visualizations gain a texture they lacked before. The feeling of the wish fulfilled stops being something you generate through effort and starts arising on its own because the part of you that was blocking receptivity has begun to soften. You stop manifesting from a place of lack disguised as desire, and you start creating from genuine overflow. The difference is everything. A skeptic within this framework might ask, isn't this just psychology dressed in spiritual language? And the answer reveals something important. The inner child isn't a metaphor. In Neville's teaching, imagination is reality. The inner man is the true self, and every state you've ever inhabited still exists within you. The child you were at 5 isn't a memory. In the architecture of consciousness, that state is alive, running, influencing every assumption you hold. When you enter imagination and meet that child, you're doing something real. You're revising, which Neville called one of the most potent acts available to human consciousness. You're changing the emotional charge of a past state, and because all states exist in the eternal now, that revision ripples forward. The practice is simple to describe and challenging to sustain. Each night, as you enter that drowsy state, go to the child. Go to the specific scene where creative expression became dangerous. Revise it. Let the child paint the picture, sing the song, say the weird thing, and be met with delight instead of correction. Feel the relief in their body as if it's your own. Because it is. Do this repeatedly, not once, not when you remember. As a discipline, the way you'd maintain any practice that matters. Over weeks, you'll notice something. The gap between your affirmations and your felt reality begins to close. The inner resistance that used to surface 2 minutes into every visualization starts dissolving. Your creative impulses, the ones you've been suppressing since childhood, the strange ideas, the ambitious visions, the art that embarrasses you with its sincerity, begin pushing through the soil of that newly cleared garden. Your manifesting power was never broken. It was buried under the protective mechanisms of a child who learned that full self-expression carried a cost. Every wall you built to keep yourself safe also kept your creative force contained. The work ahead asks something specific of you. Go back before you go forward. Find the version of you who still believes that wanting is dangerous, that creating invites criticism, that joy precedes punishment. Sit with them until they believe otherwise. The locked door has always opened from the inside.